Now that we are recording, we'll get this Planning and Zoning Committee meeting scheduled for September 14th going. My name is Grant Russell. I'm the chairman of the committee. To my right is Brian Bauman, and followed by Jim Slough. We got our able-bodied staff across the way, and I think we're starting with the rezone for 315 Walnut Street. Mr. Mercer, give us the rundown.
So, you see that the lot in question, it's on the south side of Walnut Street between Taylor Street and the north-south railroad tracks. Zone R3, single family, small lot. On the south side of Walnut Street, it's mostly R3 small lot residential with C1, some C1 local commercial. To the north, it's a mix of C2 general commercial and I1 light industrial. It's not located in the floodplain, and the land use plan designates the area as single family small lot. Currently the site's vacant though. The applicant's requesting to rezone because they'd like to put an accessory structure on that vacant lot. To do so, they have to combine the lots with the two to the west so that they can have the primary structure on the same parcel as the accessory structure. And they also need to have everything zoned the same so that everything matches. So we didn't have any concerns with the request.
The applicant did state at Planning Commission that they do intend to install a fence on the eastern and southern property line. Depending on the scale of their potential improvement, which is a
Shelter.
Kind of a shelter, it may or may not have to go to Planning Commission. Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend the rezoning.
And Jacob, about did you say that they are required to combine the lots, or is that? Well, run that one part through me again.
So the accessory building they want to construct they want to put on that vacant lot with the grass. The primary structure is on the parcel. There's a vacant parcel with the parking, and then the VFW building itself is on a third parcel. So they need to combine all three so that an accessory structure is on the same parcel as the primary structure.
But that requirement isn't necessary for us. We're just simply saying the rezone is.
Yeah.
We are simply.
And so to get their accessory structure on that parcel, they need to have everything zoned the same. So we could combine them and they could have kept the same zoning because we have other multi-zoned parcels in the city. Like it wouldn't get that zoning unless they requested it.
Okay. And could you go back to the lot map real quick?
This.
And they have the one that is to our right of that.
So the VFW is currently.
Oh, okay. I was looking at it the wrong way. Got it.
These two pink parcels are the current location. This is also their parcel.
Yes.
And then after the rezoning, before they will join the lots, but the joining of the lots is a simple process and not part of our consideration.
Yeah. And is there a house on the other R3? I'm sorry, I did not go by it. I'm all cattywampus on this. Okay. Questions from us? David, if you desire and you would like to say anything about this, you may, but totally up to you. I don't think we do.
I would make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Questions or comments on the motion? This is a pretty easy one in my mind. All those in favor of recommending to the full council approval of this zoning request, please say aye. And I'll say an aye, and we are set.
You are all set. Planning Commission and the Planning and Zoning Committee have both made recommendations to approve the rezoning request. That will go to City Council for 3 readings. And, and if approved, there'll be a 30-day waiting period, then the zoning will go into effect then.
You know, and it is kind of interesting. It is worth noting that, you know, there's a petition going out or being circulated amongst the city that says all zoning decisions would have to be approved by a vote of the city. Understand that if that passes, so the practical effect of that is your zoning, this request wouldn't happen until probably the fall, November of 2024, and would have to stand for an election of all the citizens. So that's the practical effect of what that petition is saying. So just so you know, folks start to understand what's being requested. You know, this is an easy request. I'm glad the VFW is doing it. I'm glad you're having success. That petition would negatively affect the VFW in this situation. You would be twiddling your thumbs for a year and a half plus until we could run an election to make this decision. So that's just me, a little political comment. But appreciate you coming in. You don't have to stay for the rest of this if you. Hopefully you have something better to do. But appreciate you coming in. Thank you. And which one do we want to do next?
The initial zoning for the annexation.
Okay. So that's County Road 220.
County Road 99, right there. Yep. So it's
Gotta have the right case.
number 5 on the agenda, the application for zoning amendment ZA-08-2023. I'll go ahead and read my comments. So the request is located on the north side of County Road 99, just east of I-75.
Okay, time out. That's not what I have.
Oh.
So my committee report says, to whom refer to request for 2 parcels totaling 138.018 acres on County Road 220 that are both situated in Allen Township, currently in the process of being annexed into Findlay. They want to be zoned I-1, except for 1 parcel on the eastern 1.351 acres. And so I'm not sure I've got the right committee report to continue this conversation.
It's the correct report with outdated information. There was a little confusion. The city received the paperwork from the county, and it's 20 or 100 pages. It's a lengthy document. What was not noticed was a revision which removed any land north of Township Road 100. So the initial request was 130 some acres. That went through the commissioners. It was reduced down to 58 acres. And that is the request I would consider that maybe a typo. Or typo is not the correct word, but it's updated and known, and I think that report just hasn't been updated. The Planning Commission considered the correct request, which is 58, assigning the zoning for the 58 acres that are being considered for annexation. Yes. It involves several parts. It would be too difficult to amend it now. Your latter suggestion, we'll discuss, vote, and we'll have Denise put in the correct language.
Can I?
And I would refer to this map because that we provided you. We updated it from this morning, and it shows all the parcels and the correct and the zoning request for each parcel.
Mm-hmm.
This exhibit is correct. Yes.
Correct. So just to explain the map that you're looking at, there's a bold red outline around the entirety of the 57.691 acres. The parcels that are outlined in yellow are owned by Dr. Lai. The two in the corner of County Road 99 and next to I-75's ramp there, that is owned by 11600 County Road 99. The one right there at the corner is being sold to Racetrack for the part of their development. There's a middle parcel that is Phil Rooney has submitted application to split. So the blue half is 1.315 acres from this parcel owned by 11600 County Road 99 LLC, which will also go to Racetrack, which is going to be essentially land used for Speedway Drive's extension north. The eastern half of the parcel, it's kind of outlined in green, is 1.351 acres, and that would stay with the that property owner, and he's requesting that it's C2. And then the next parcel to the east is owned by 11732 County Road 99 LLC, and they requested C2 general commercial for that. So, would you?
Could you take the map? Do you have an extra copy of this?
Hmm?
And do you guys understand what we're talking about? Because I'm totally confused.
Maybe, Jacob, could you maybe walk over there and point on the map? I think that'll be helpful.
I wish we had this to be able to put up there, but
Yeah.
So we want to combine the green, the blue, and then this bottom.
Yeah,
So the total request is this, and outlined in red. That's
Okay.
the 58 total.
got it.
Okay, but that includes these.
And
Yes.
Dr. Lai has the stuff way up there, except for these ones that you have.
99.
Okay.
So all the yellow outlined parcels are Dr. Lai's.
Yep.
Okay, I guess I didn't see the distinction there.
Yeah,
between-
sorry, because it's C2.
And we're doing I-1 for the majority of that.
Yeah, so then the two in the corner here that are in blue, they're owned by 11600 County Road 99
That's,
LLC.
when you say the blue, you're
Yeah.
referring to this.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so those two,
Okay.
they requested that be I-1, and they're going to be sold to Racetrack.
Okay, run this by me. I only see one that's in blue. This one?
So this is technically a second parcel.
So this is I-1 to Racetrack.
Yep.
What?
That one's I-1 to Racetrack.
And this one is I-1. So Racetrack is gonna have this whole thing,
And then
and then part of
yeah.
this.
and then this would remain with the 11699
Okay,
as C2.
that's gonna be C2,
Mm-hmm.
and this.
C2 with this property owner.
Okay. And these are all initial annexations. All of this.
All of it, yeah, this is the initial zoning for annexation into the city.
And Speedway Drive is gonna come up in
Yes.
there.
Yes.
And this is not part of the
Not
annexation,
part of the annexation.
and they get access to their property from, looks like over here.
Looks like it.
As it is today, yeah.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Is that a residence?
It is.
And it's obviously in the township.
Yep.
Is this Reinke Ford?
Yes.
Okay.
Where's Ryan?
Yeah.
In some ways, we went from too little information to too much information. The gray hash is 50 plus acres. That's request is for I-1, and the red hash is the C2.
Got it.
The combination of lots and all that is not essentially pertinent to this conversation.
Understood. And then, just to be more confusing, we asked for more to be annexed or requested, and the county came back and reduced the amount that was being annexed, correct?
When I would say I would say the property owners,
Yes.
not the city.
Correct.
Just to be clear.
Yes.
And I cannot speak to why or how that occurred, but we do know the initial request was 130 some acres, and what the commissioners approved was the 58.
And do we know where the additional X number of acres, was that to the north?
It is. Dr. Lai owns more property to the north, north of Township Road 100. That was in the initial.
Okay. Okay, got it. We're gonna get to you.
All for the clarification.
Okay, now that we understand what you're talking about, do you want to start again? Or take it from?
Yeah, I'll shrink it down. So essentially, it's the north side of County Road 99 there. To the south and east along County Road 99, you can see on the map on the screen that everything is zoned C2 general commercial. In terms of buildings on the site, the 11600 site has the Flag City Furniture 2 occupies that building, and then the back building on the other property is Can Do's production facility. So those are the two parcels that they are requesting to have remain C2. To the west along 99 is, like I said, I-1 light industrial for the racetrack site. So in terms of the Findlay land use plan, they recommended along County Road 99 that it be regional commercial, and then the land north of County Road 99 be zoned industrial. And given that the request is in line with the land use plan, we're supportive of the rezone request and recommended approval.
And the regional commercial is not a zoning classification that I'm familiar with, but we just say C2 fits.
It's comparable. Yeah, its nearest translation would be C2.
Got it.
The Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the the initial zoning.
And sir, so
And-
that we may have your name on the record in case your employer questions whether you attended here or went to Dietz Brothers the whole time. Your name, sir.
Brendan Sexton with Racetrack.
And I was just going to say, Grant, that the motion from Planning Commission spelled out, this parcel owned by 11732 County Road 99 plus 1.351 acres of that parcel be zoned C2 with the remainder.
So they did it on a per part. They did uniquely those parcels because of different ownership.
I would recommend, if you make a motion, is referring to this map as a guide to, rather than listing out the parcels and the addresses, just refer to this map.
Okay. Questions from you guys for?
Just one last piece of information. Racetrack, this will be the future site of a racetrack gas station, and they will move forward with that upon annexation into the city.
Okay.
Thank you for the clarification. That's not a racetrack.
Brendan, it's all yours.
Members
welcome to Ohio. Does it, racetrack headquarters, does it get any play the fact that this racetrack will be on Speedway Drive?
I believe in our initial meeting with Matt, there was conversation about renaming Speedway Drive, considering they're not part of the Marathon company anymore, but they said no to Racetrack Way. I'll defer to the city's judgment on that.
Well played, sir. Is Racetrack buying the whole property from Dr. Lai, as Dr. Lai retains that property?
No, Dr. Lai will retain that property.
Got it. And so then your site doesn't go past kind of what that, in essence, the green, what's now in grass. Little.
The property line we just established is right about here. Our development stops about halfway into the tree line, so our total development is 9 acres of the 57 and change that's coming in with the annexation.
And not that it is germane to what we're considering here, because this is simply a rezone, not a rezone. This is initial zoning, not a site plan conversation. But do the trees that you said you're like half of this, and do the other trees remain? Does it act as a buffer for that property to your east?
That's correct.
And then you're going to have, is it truck overnight parking, or is it just for fueling?
There is truck parking as well.
Okay.
But any trees that are not in the limits of disturbance of our development will remain.
Okay. So,
Jake, I think you've seen the landscape as well.
yeah.
City regulations.
And for our committee standpoint, we're just saying when this thing comes in, what is the zoning going to be? Racetrack could finally say, we don't like the Buckeye State, and walk away, and then anything C2 that's legal to be there can be there when the zoning goes through. Site plans are not germane to our conversation. That was just me asking out of curiosity. Questions for Brendan? Okay, I will make a motion, but I would like help with this motion to make sure we get this in a way that you find desirable.
Make a motion to approve as referenced in the provided map.
Okay.
I think that would be adequate, and we'll include that map with your report.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion that we recommend to the full council approval as a as requested per the attached map for this case, which is the explanation that we got here.
Do we need to mention I-1 and does?
That's approval as requested.
Okay.
Or I could say to a combination of I-1 industrial and C2 and C2, but I think that's kind of covered. And then also asking that, and then also with it's not part of the motion, but with the understanding that Jacob will work with Denise to change the committee report, meaning we're probably going to have to come in here and re-sign a document at some point in time.
Yep.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the convoluted motion as mentioned or as stated, please say aye. Aye. Brendan, we are good to go. Same thing. Off to council, 3 readings, 30 days.
Is there testimony at all 3 of the council meetings?
There,
And it will get its first reading in our first meeting in October, because next week we will approve the committee report, correct?
no, I think we generally, if the legislation's there, yeah, I would expect to have legislation. I think we'll
Okay.
it'll be
Okay.
first meeting.
the public hearing is usually scheduled. Oh, sorry. You're good. There was a third rezoning request for 1700 Fostoria Avenue, also known as the old RCA building. It was tabled. The Planning Commission wanted the applicant to work with some of the surrounding property owners to come up with a kind of an agreement of improvements to be made. There's an access easement that needs to be maintained and doesn't have a great track record of being maintained, and some screening and a long history there. So as you know, we can't put conditions upon a rezoning request, so Planning Commission asked that an agreement be made between the property owners, and then they would reconsider it at next month's meeting. This has been industrial since 1954. With the map update, and the removal of the PUDs, it was assigned C2 commercial. It is unknown if I did that on purpose per the request of Tony Aridi and Tim Miley, the then owners of the property, for economic development, or if it was merely a incorrect map translation. In general, Planning Commission, because of the history of the property being industrial for so long, for such a long period of time, are not opposed to it becoming industrial, but they'd like to fix some of the issues that are currently at the site. So that's what they're trying to work through, and they're hopeful at the October meeting that some of those issues will have been able to be worked through, and then they would proceed potentially with the rezoning. So this one was a little bit of history, a little bit of issues, and I'm trying to work through those.
Were any of the property owners of the three parcels in front, were they present?
Yes.
And they are because I remember when we did the one in the middle, where the landscaping folks are going to be, that this was discussed at that also, or came up for conversation.
The one property owner, he brought those concerns at that meeting, but his concerns are with the larger parcel, and that meeting was about the smaller parcel. Yeah. So, but his in my opinion, his concerns are being heard by the board and trying to be addressed.
Got it.
His main concern is all the truck traffic goes through that small access to the south, west, and so Planning Commission is having the engineer consider, the applicant's engineer consider what it would be like to have most of that traffic go through the actual traffic light there. And then screening with the neighborhood to the west, and then screening along that access area there, as Jake is showing, putting some grass there, and planting a significant amount of trees so that truck trailers and storage are not necessarily as visible from Fostoria Avenue and the businesses along there.
Well, if we have screening requirements for I-1 and something let's imagine this is a blank cornfield and we make it I-1. And they put a building on it. They would do a site plan, and you would require them to do the screening per the zoning regulations.
Correct.
Is the same thing kind of apply here? Hey, you want to become I-1, you've got to meet the I-1 screening?
The same question was asked, almost the exact same question was asked by Dan Klinger, and it's a good question. Without a site plan and new construction, the answer is no. The rezoning does not kick into effect the screening requirements. What kicks in the screening requirements is the construction. So that's one of the tricky things here, that, you know, the building's there, you know, and the screening, the simple fact of rezoning it does not kick in the screening requirements. And since the building's there, we don't anticipate seeing a site plan.
So they're looking at that entrance there, because the mall's up here, down here, correct?
Correct.
So they're looking at that entrance there, but isn't there a light pole in the middle of that?
It was removed.
Oh, it was removed. Okay.
I don't know the answer to that. Generally, improvements aren't required until you do some sort of improvement. So, yeah, I mean, that's it. Because if there's no improvement or there's no change to the property, it's kind of going backwards and saying you have to do something. Kind of going against grandfathering. I think because to me it's a grandfathering issue. You're requiring, but nothing. I mean, nothing physically has changed on the property, and you're requiring them to meet standards. So sure.
What are we expecting to hear back? What are we hoping? What are we what is city planning hoping to hear back next month in order to move forward on this request?
I think they're hoping to have an update on truck movement and feedback from the engineer about truck movement at the light, rather than, because currently there's a sign that the property owner put a sign, no trucks at the traffic light. All trucks must enter and leave through that southern entrance. So they want to update on that, and their preference is that the trucks come in at the traffic light and leave through the traffic light. They want the large parking lot to be screened. So they're hoping to see an agreement that says like a grass median.
So we're expecting to see an agreement that's executed.
Yes.
Will
And,
city planning hold if they don't get it?
you know, and my guess is that they may entertain the idea of waiting for the PUD ordinance to come into effect and then essentially negotiate directly with the property owner the details of the rezoning.
Okay. Make a motion to table. All in favor of tabling this request, please say aye.
Aye.
We are tabled. Any other business in front of the, or there is no other business in front of the committee, and I'll call this meeting adjourned, 12:38.